10 days. That is all that stands between right now and potentially the most catastrophic military escalation the world has seen in decades. Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, this channel covers one thing and one thing only right now, the US-Iran War of 2026. We cover it with real data, real sources, real numbers. No hype, no propaganda, just facts, analysis, and the truth. Because in a war this big, the truth matters more than ever. Today is March 27th, 2026. We are on day 27 of Operation Epic Fury, the US and Israeli military campaign against Iran that began on February 28th, 2026. And today, the situation has changed dramatically. Again, here is what happened in the last 48 hours, and why every single person on this planet should be paying attention. America sent Iran a 15-point peace plan. It was delivered through Pakistan, acting as a secret mediator between two countries at war. The world held its breath. Stock markets jumped. There was hope. And then Iran said no. Not just no. Iran said, here are our 5 conditions. And those conditions? They are so extreme that analysts are calling them completely unworkable. We will go through every single one of them in detail today, because you need to understand exactly why this war is not ending anytime soon. And then there is Trump. President Donald Trump, who on the same day he was told Iran rejected his plan, also said, and I quote, he doesn't even care about reaching a deal. He said there are other targets he still wants to hit. And then, in the same breath, he extended the deadline by 10 days to April 6th. So what is actually happening? Is there a deal? Is there no deal? Is this a negotiation or a performance? And most importantly, what happens on April 6th if no deal is reached? That is exactly what this video is about. Stay until the end, because the last segment contains analysis that most mainstream media is completely ignoring. Let's go. To understand why April 6th is so important, you have to understand how this war began. And this story starts not in February 2026, but much earlier. For years, actually for over 2 decades, the United States and Iran have been locked in a conflict over one central question. Will Iran be allowed to develop nuclear weapons? Iran has always said their nuclear program is peaceful, for energy, for medicine. The United States and Israel have always believed, and their intelligence agencies have always assessed, that Iran is building toward a nuclear bomb. In April 2025, Trump sent a letter to Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. He proposed talks. He gave them a deadline. The first round of negotiations happened in Oman in April 2025. The second round was in Rome. There was cautious optimism. But here's the critical fact, and pay close attention to this. On February 27th, 2026, just 1 day before America attacked Iran, Oman's Foreign Minister Badr al-Busaidi said a breakthrough had been reached. Iran had agreed to never stockpile enriched uranium. Iran had agreed to full verification by the International Atomic Energy Agency. Al-Busaidi said peace was within reach. Talks were expected to resume on March 2nd. Let that sink in. 1 day before the bombs fell, there was a breakthrough. There was a deal on the table. Peace was, by multiple accounts, within reach. And then, on February 28th, 2026, the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic. According to U.S. Central Command and multiple verified military sources, the opening strikes involved approximately 900 U.S. and Israeli precision attacks in a 12-hour window. These were not random bombings. This was a carefully planned, multi-layered assault designed to do 3 things simultaneously. Number 1, destroy Iran's nuclear program. Underground facilities, centrifuge halls, enrichment plants, all targeted with bunker-busting munitions. Number 2, decapitate Iran's military leadership. The IRGC command structure, missile launchers, radar systems, air defense networks, all systematically destroyed or severely degraded. Number 3, assassinate Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. That third objective succeeded. On February 28th, 2026, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the man who had ruled Iran with an iron fist for 35 years, was killed in an Israeli airstrike on his compound. His daughter, son-in-law, grandchild, and daughter-in-law were also killed in the strike. By early on March 1st, Iranian state media confirmed his death. The Islamic Republic of Iran, one of the most powerful theocratic governments in the world, had just lost its supreme leader on day 1 of the war. Iran did not collapse. Iran did not surrender. Iran struck back, hard. Iranian missiles and drones hit Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, and Beersheba in Israel. The U.S. Embassy in Kuwait was struck and closed indefinitely. Iranian IRGC naval forces fired anti-ship missiles at coalition vessels in the Persian Gulf. A U.S.-owned tanker, the Saifsia Vishnu, was struck and engulfed in flames in the Persian Gulf. By March 5th, Iran had fired over 500 ballistic and naval missiles and nearly 2,000 drones since the war began. Approximately 40% targeted Israel. Approximately 60% targeted U.S. military installations across the region, bases in Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, and Kuwait. The Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway through which 20% of the world's oil supply flows every single day, was effectively shut down. Tanker traffic collapsed. Gulf oil producers ran out of storage capacity and began cutting production. The International Energy Agency called it, in their exact words, the greatest global energy security challenge in history. Brent crude oil prices surged from roughly $70 per barrel before the war to a peak of $119.50 per barrel by mid-March. Gas prices in the United States hit $6.50 per gallon in cities like San Francisco. The IEA announced the largest emergency oil release in history, 400 million barrels. The U.S. alone released 172 million barrels from its strategic petroleum reserve. Urea fertilizer prices, critical for global food production, rose 35%. Gulf states produce 49% of global urea and 0% of global ammonia. Sulfur prices, used in manufacturing ammo, soared. Food security analysts began raising alarm bells about potential global food shortages if the war continued. The S&P 500 fell approximately 4.55% between March 3rd and March 20th. The first week of the war alone cost U.S. taxpayers upwards of $11 billion, and that doesn't include the military buildup that happened before the strikes. Numbers are just numbers until you understand what they mean for real human beings. By March 17th, the human rights organization Harana had documented 3,114 deaths in Iran due to airstrikes, including 54 civilians, 138 military personnel, and 622 unclassified. Harana noted that military casualties were significantly higher than reported because Iran's government was hiding the numbers. By March 24th, day 25 of the war, that death toll had risen to 3,130 in Iran alone, including 1,406 civilians and over 210 children. At least 15% of all casualties were under the age of 18. The Iranian Red Crescent reported that by March 7th, over 6,688 civilian units had been targeted, including 5,135 residential buildings, 141 commercial properties, 14 medical centers, and 65 schools. In Lebanon, over 1,000 people had been killed and more than 1 million displaced as Israel simultaneously intensified its campaign against Hezbollah. The U.S. State Department assisted over 27,000 Americans who were stranded in the Middle East when the war began. Airlines canceled over 1,900 flights in the immediate aftermath of the opening strikes. Dubai, the most connected aviation hub in the world, was paralyzed. This is the context. This is the world into which America tried to introduce a peace plan. And this is why Iran's response to that peace plan, and what happens on April 6th, matters so much